I bless my inner visions of you. So what if...
Hello, my name's Tom Walker. Welcome to That'll Be the Day. In this podcast, I'm going to be speaking to a person who's led a truly astonishing life. But before we hear from Rosa Gomez, who's visually impaired, if you like the music at the start of this podcast, it's a track called That'll Be the Day by the Liverpool band The Vow. And as always, I'll be featuring a track by the band at the end of this podcast. Stay tuned to find out which one I've chosen.
Yeah, that'll be the day your open invitation comes my way.
She's been shot, disqualified as a local councillor, and in her younger days has danced in the streets of her hometown, Barranquilla, on the Caribbean coast of Colombia. To say Rosa Gomez has lived a full life would be an understatement. This is Rosa's story.
Well, I was born in the northern part of Colombia, the carnival town, Barranquilla, quite a few years back now. And I came over in 1972, following my mother's departure from Colombia. She came over on a work visa with her boss, who was British Colombian. And she came in the middle of 1965. And my sister Nancy followed suit in 1970. Then she brought me over in 72. Then the rest of my siblings came one by one, my three siblings. And when I arrived in 1972, my mum was living in Islington North. My mum was head of household. So it was my mum, my three siblings, my grandma, and the nanny.
What was life like in Barranquilla?
Oh my goodness, I got such fond memories of what I can remember. The smell of freshly brewed coffee from 4 a.m. And the sun streaming through the windows that made you get up with 25 degrees plus. Barranquilla is a happy place. People are just happy. People is a place where there's lots of music and dancing and people speaking loudly and joking, and it's just a warm place.
When you were growing up in Barranquilla, am I right in saying that you were fully sighted at that point?
Oh yeah. I was short-sighted, but yes, I was sighted.
And you came over to the UK, as you were saying, in 1972. Was that to London? And if it was, what did you make of it?
With all honesty, I hated it. It was so different. I was only 15 at the time. To be uprooted from everything, as a child, as a youngster, it was a culture shock, because in Barranquilla, I don't know, we were chaperoned, we're going to parties, we were with a family, it was a family thing always. And when I arrived here, it was not like that at all. I felt lonely, I felt I didn't fit in. I tried to act like English girls that I met, speak like them, act like them, dress like them, so I wouldn't look so different, so alien, as we were called then. So I didn't stay long. I pleaded with my mom to send me to Rome, and I went to study there. And I stayed there for 6 months, and I studied Italian because my wish was to be a UN translator. I didn't get to be that. But I did learn languages, though.
From 1972 to 2008, you were more or less living in the UK. What were you doing in that 36 years? I know you were a student, and then you graduated. What did you do then?
Well, when I came back from Rome, I went back to college and I did admin. And I was working primarily as administrator in various firms, but it was not challenging enough. And then I started working in the voluntary sector, social housing and immigration. I worked for the Citizens Advice Bureau. They had a project for asylum seekers in detention in Portsmouth. So I became fully trained in legal matters to do with asylum claims and refugees.
But in 2008, you then went back to Colombia. Why did you go back and what was it like?
Following my redundancy in 2007, given that my mum had just returned to Colombia through ill health, my siblings were there, everybody was saying, why don't you spend some time in Colombia and then just have a break? So I did. I just went to have a break pretty much. And I went with my youngest son, whom I took out of school. And I got him into school over there, final year for secondary school. And it was, at first it was delicious being back. I could eat all those exotic fruits again and all that lovely gastronomic that we have in Barranquilla. Being near the sea, being near family. At first it was just lovely.
So first of all, it was lovely when you went back to Colombia, to Barranquilla. But then what happened? Because it wasn't all lovely, was it?
Well, it was lovely for a while. I took part in carnivals and processions. I dressed up for carnival, made lots of friends, and life was kind of okay. And I received a warning that I was about to be murdered, but I took no notice of it. I thought it was a prank, some kind of joke. And I put it in my bag. I thought I'll discuss with my brother, take it to the police. But then I forgot all about it.
Why would anybody have wanted to threaten you with murder, or even worse, to actually kill you? What was the problem?
Well, there's no problem at all. I didn't owe anything to anybody, no. I didn't take anything from anyone. I was not in politics over there, and I was not a solicitor over there, which is normally the reason why you would be threatened. And obviously the last reason to be threatened was if you get involved in illegal business, trafficking and so on. And that was not the case either. So I had no idea, and that's why I didn't take any notice of it.
But then the worst did happen, or not quite the worst, but it was pretty bad. Let's put it that way.
As I carried on as normal, in and out of the house, driving the car, going to my brother, going to friends, etc. Yeah, on the 16th of September 2010, I was intercepted by a motorbike with two people on it. And I was, somebody shot at the car 6 times, and I was impacted 4 times. More horrendous still, the Colombian authorities have not fully investigated the matter, and no one has been held responsible.
You were severely injured, Rosa, after that attack. If you don't mind, tell me as much as you're comfortable with about those injuries and what the upshot of all of that was.
Yeah, well, I was slammed on the steering wheel. I happened to have a passenger, which resulted in the last minute when I was living in a friend's house, and I was lucky to have somebody there. If I had been on my own, who knows if I had survived. So as I slammed on the steering wheel, clearly bleeding almost to death, the passenger, Jose, his name is, jumped out of the car, called for help. Then, police arrived on a motorbike, but he didn't think it was worth getting me to the hospital, nearest hospital, because he felt that I was about to die. So he felt that it was a waste of time, that I wouldn't make it to the hospital. But I'm going to tell you the other bit that followed, because I think it's quite important. Another driver who's coming the opposite way, it was a young chap actually, stopped out of curiosity and came over to find out what happened and who it was. And then he saw me. This is what the passenger told me, because I was unconscious by then. The passenger tells me, he said, "Oh no, but she's still breathing." And he opened up my blouse so I could breathe a bit easier. He asked the police, militarized police, I don't know what to call him, on the bike to help him get me at the back of his vehicle, and got the police to drive in front to open the traffic. And that's how I got to hospital. And apparently he said the words, "No, let's get her to hospital. Help me. This woman could be my mother." And that's how he got to get me to hospital in time. And they did the life-saving operations, blood transfusions, etc. Sadly, with the brain trauma that I suffered during the incident, I lost my sight and I lost my left hand. So I'm an upper limb amputee. So it has been horrendous.
To put it mildly, horrendous doesn't even begin to cover it. So you were in hospital for how long?
I was in intensive care for a number of weeks, and because of the type of injuries that I received, most of the shots came from my left arm. And they couldn't do any stitches, so that I had to heal by itself when it was totally open. They were worried that I would get an infection in the hospital, so I was sent home to recover in a clean sort of area, away from infection from other patients. And I spent a year in hospital at home or something in Colombia, where the GP comes and the consultants and the nurses, etc. Just like a ward in hospital, but at home.
Yeah.
So I had that for a year. And for the first 2 months, I believe, there was a police officer at the front door of the house where I stayed, because they felt that whoever did it would come back to finish the job.
Have they ever established a motive for this? Because it just seems a completely motiveless attack.
Totally. Well, and this is the awkward bit. I was interviewed by detectives of the Fiscalia, which is the prosecutor's office. And having established that I had a very nice home in Muswell Hill at the time, that the person to benefit from it was my then partner. But like I said, and the detective is totally convinced that he didn't need to look elsewhere. But since there was no proper investigation, not a court case, there's the evidence, there's nothing to get him to serve a prison sentence until that is done. And now it's been 16 years, so whether that will happen, God knows.
You were in hospital for a lengthy period in Colombia, and then you came back to the UK. Tell me about the circumstances, if you would, of that return.
I came back in 2011 in a wheelchair, as I had lost the ability to walk, having been bedridden for a year. What ensued was years of hospital treatments, more surgeries, more physiotherapy, psychotherapy, psychology. I was in a pretty bad state, but with the support of my family, my sons, I became resilient. And I thought, well, they tried to, whoever it was, kill me, but I either sit down and die here, back in London, or I get up and fight to live. And this is what I've done.
That's very evident, Rosa. It really is that you are clearly a real fighter, very resilient. Can I just ask you, we've spoken about the physical effects of this horrendous attack on you. What about the psychological trauma? I mean, it's just hard to imagine what impact that would have had on you psychologically.
It's been difficult, Tom, and it is at times difficult when I find myself in this predicament where I have to rely on other people. I am dependent 24 hours on my lovely carers, without whom I couldn't do anything. I think what helped me, Tom, was getting back into trying to get back into what I was. So either by deceiving myself that I was still the same person as I was, and I think I am still the same person, minus the physical abilities. I then decided that, I went back to college, first of all, and I did 3 years of psychotherapy. That, without doubt, helped me. But I decided not to work in that area. And I got a job managing a local charity for people with disabilities, and I got involved there. But at the same time, I was getting back into the political sphere. And it was in 2015 when Jeremy Corbyn was about to become the leader of the Labour Party. And I rejoined again and became active in the local constituency Labour Party. And my employers were not happy with me becoming a councillor if elected. So 3 months later, I left employment and fully became involved in politics.
And you were a councillor until very recently on Redbridge Council, and you've run into, shall we call it politely, some difficulty. Could you explain exactly what happened to you? Because it seems, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I was elected in 2018 alongside two Conservatives, so it was a lonely job at first, and I was re-elected in 22 with the second highest number of votes. So I was very popular with the electorate, and built a really good relationship with the residents. And I was re-elected alongside two Labour people soon after that because I questioned everything. And it was very challenging because risk for adjustments, which is not there. If we go back to 2018, I had my elderly sister, my younger son, and my carer taking me to town hall and meetings. And I just couldn't do my role as good as would have liked to because I needed that help. The local authority didn't really know what access to work was through DWP, Department of Works and Pensions. And they just did not afford me the right support. And I was then accused of anti-Semitism and racism. Then I was taken through some kind of kangaroo court, a trial, lost my whip for 6 months, and just continued to battle against them. So I left the Labour Party, became independent, together with 3 other Labour councillors. We became a bloc of 4, but then problems got worse because they were very offended that they would have lost 4 councillors. And we nearly became the opposition because the Tories had 5. We were 4. But whenever I tried to bring a motion, to table a motion, they blocked it. And the last meeting I attended was in June 2025, just leading on to my cessation of office. That was the last meeting, and I tabled a motion on disability cuts, which the Labour government was trying to impose on disabled people. So I proposed it, and my independent colleague seconded. There was a debate on it, and I was due to close on the motion, which is the norm for all councillors for this sort of legal things in the town hall, and the mayor didn't allow me to. That was my legal right, and when I called out a point of order, she just told me to shut up and sit down. Sadly, that recording they decided not to upload, clearly, because it would have been a big embarrassment for the mayor to behave in such a way. And I didn't attend further in-person meetings because they then brought a formal complaint against me. That's a monitoring officer, not the Labour Party. And they took away my support. They said I was no longer allowed to bring my support worker, who are the ones who read on my behalf, who put on the microphone, who vote as per my instructions, as I have a physical disability and I can't use my fingers as well as anyone else. And they took that away because I got a respiratory problem. My carer needs to be not too far from me because my airway can shut at times and I need medication to open up the airway. So they stopped me from bringing my carer and being close enough to me and my support worker. So without both of them, I couldn't attend. I couldn't be there. So I couldn't, there were 2 meetings that I didn't attend in the 6 months period. And on that, they decided to disqualify me.
Was it not possible for you to attend those meetings on Zoom, remotely, in some other way?
Well, I did attend a number of other meetings online, but they meant in-person meetings. They had to be in person. One, I was gave an apology as I was off sick. So there was one other meeting, which I don't recall why I didn't attend. And I think it was because precisely who would go with me and how can I be there on my own? And it was just not possible.
So your allegation is against Redbridge Council is that they withdrew or didn't allow you to have the support you needed to attend meetings. And as a result, you didn't attend meetings in person for 6 months and were then disqualified.
But there were only 2 meetings in those 6 months period because it was summer. I attended the last one in June. The following one would have been 2 months later, June, July, August. But August, nothing happened because it's summer. So I think September would have been the next one, if I remember rightly. Stand to be corrected. So I didn't attend the following one. There was a committee meeting of Clean and Green, which is to do with environment. I didn't attend that one either because I was unwell, I had a cold. So I sent an apology, which should have counted for. They shouldn't have taken that into account. And then, the lack of my ability to continue taking my support worker. I've got to emphasize that I had my support worker and carer for 7.5 years. They just made that change in the latter part of my second term in office.
I'm going to go to Redbridge Council and ask them for their version of events. What do you think they'll tell me? What do you think they're going to say?
They will tell you that there was a formal complaint against me because I breached GDPR, and it was because I sent out an email, confidential, from the CEO to my support workers who often work remotely. Only one works from my home address to do the casework on the computer. And I always shared confidential information with my support workers. So this was no difference. We were due to work on a send motion, given the damning report that we had in Redbridge on the provision for children with special educational needs. And this email had to do with the sacking of the education director. But I didn't see it as... I sent out information concerning residents. Nothing can be more confidential than a person's details, their home address, their issue, or their complaint, etc.
Well, Rosa, thanks very much for sharing that with us. I will contact Redbridge Council to see what they have to say. It's only fair to give them the right to respond, I guess. So thank you for talking so openly about that, and actually for talking so openly about your life more generally. As you reflect on your life and look back at the incredible things that have happened to you, what are your thoughts now?
I've had a good life. I've done some incredible things. Among them, the work I did with refugees was amazing. It was an extraordinary time. been a councillor 2 terms with all my complex disabilities. I never thought I would be elected first time. And yet, yeah, I was even Councillor of the Year 2 years ago, invited to Palace as well. I mean, it's been varied and it's been an amazing life. I've met the most incredible people. I've had 2 sons whom I adore, and and I survived 4 gunshots. So what else can I ask life? What else can I ask in life? I've had it all. I have a few regrets. I don't know why I didn't take notice of that warning, but it is what it is, and we are here now, and I've still got much to offer, and I just plough on.
There will be people listening to this thinking, indeed, you have had the most amazing life.
I've done enormously well.
Are there any lessons that you've learned? Would you have done anything differently when you reflect back on your life?
Well, I think in my personal life, my downfall was my love for dancing, which got me into awkward places and met awkward people. But other than that, would I have done anything different? Probably not.
Well, thanks once again to Rosa for sharing her story. As I said earlier, I did contact Redbridge Council for a response to Rosa's allegations. They said that under Section 85 of the Local Government Act 1972 and the council's constitution, a councillor who does not attend any qualifying council or committee meeting for 6 consecutive months automatically ceases to be a member of the authority. For a councillor to remain a member, any period of absence must be approved in advance by full council. Council records show that the councillor's last qualifying attendance was at full council on the 26th of June 2025. No authorised absence was applied for by the councillor in advance of the 6 months period that expired on the 26th of December 2025, at which point the councillor ceased to hold office. They also said that senior officers met with former Councillor Gomez following an occupational health meeting to develop a reasonable adjustments passport. These adjustments were implemented to ensure she was supported to undertake council business in her former role as a councillor. So that then is what Redbridge Council had to say. OK, to the music. Hopefully summer is on its way. So how about, to finish off, A Walk in the Sunshine by The Vow.
Let's take a walk in the sunshine and let the world know it's still mine. It's been ignoring me for so long. The positivity tastes nice. Improbability feels right. The sleazy city's a long way gone. No one can take what is already mine. I've earned my place in the sunshine. God only knows I have trouble back through time in memory of all those I have loved. The rainy season was in me, a howling wind on a cruel sea. You fight your enemies on your own. Though time and tide have come to me, and all of life has passed through me, I face infinity still unknown. No one can take what is already mine. I've earned my place in the sunshine. God only knows I have trouble back through time in memory as I have loved. Let's take a walk in the sunshine. 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 Let's take